Hello and happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. This is your friendly neighborhood comic book geek, the KMN 1971, and today I'm going to be showcasing my top 10 first appearances in my PC. Yeah. This was actually a lot tougher for me to put together than I initially thought, especially that the bottom three out of the top 10. My first five have been like cemented for a while, but that bottom half was tough, and it was really tough to narrow it down. I'm a fan of many characters, from characters that everyone loves like Batman and Superman, right down to like abstract characters like the Question or Warlord. So getting it down to 10 was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge and a beautiful problem to have. So I'd like to thank Read Comics 81 for tagging me. There used to be a lot more tags going around in the community, so anytime I am tagged, I try to partake. And just a brief disclaimer, in case anyone out there has tagged me before and I haven't responded, it's not because I've ignored you, it's just because I haven't seen the video and don't know that I've been tagged. Reed ended up tagging me probably about several weeks ago, and I didn't even see the video until like the video was already almost a month old, so a little bit behind. So anyway, kicking it off. Oh, and before I kick it off, one more last thing. Anyone that wants to partake in this tag, please do so. I'm not going to name anyone individually. I don't know who's already been tagged or who hasn't, and I don't want to feel like I'm leaving anyone out. So anyone, if you want to partake, please do. Starting it off. Star Wars, The Clone Wars, #1, the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano. Now, all the comics that I'm going to be showing in this top 10, I did not find at a deal. I mean, they're a lot cheaper than they are now, but it's not like I found them in a yard sale. I paid a decent amount of cash for all of these books. This was the one book that I was worried that I had that speculation fever. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. Star Wars dates back all the way back to the beginning of my comic book collecting, and Ahsoka Tano was the first new gen character that I really clinged on to, like the old school characters, so had to have it. Wasn't really sure if this book would be one of those books that I paid money for and be in like, a $10 bin like a year from now. That is not the case. And Ahsoka Tano fans, man, we have a lot to look forward to in the upcoming year, between her own miniseries on Disney Plus, appearing in Mando Season 3, as well as the newly released Tales of the Jedi animated series. Really looking forward to it. So there we go. At number 10, Star Wars Clone Wars. #1, first appearance of Ahsoka Tano. At number 9, we have The Batman Adventures, #12. Of course, as everyone knows, the first appearance of Harley Quinn. I am a Batman and Wolverine fan first and foremost. Those are like my top two in comicdom. So priding myself as a Batman collector, I have had pretty much every Batman major story arc and major character appearance from like the late 1980s on. So except for this one, because I passed on it, kind of like Ahsoka Tano, because it was based on a cartoon property. But man, was I wrong. So Harley Quinn has turned out to be one of my favorite DC characters, what a great addition to the Batman universe, and very happy to have this. I ended up picking this up probably about a year before the first Suicide Squad movie came out. So once again, not cheap, but not like it is then or now, thankfully. Number 8. The first the first member of the Badasses of the Bronze Age. Big fan of the Bronze Age. So and the Bronze Age was the dawn of the anti-hero. And this is a shining example of that. Marvel Spotlight, #5, first appearance of the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. Love it. A tough black cover. It has a couple of spine ticks, probably only like a 6.0, 6.5, but I'm very happy to have it. All right, let's make a little bit of room. Here's another one of the first big books that I bought when I started to become a quote-unquote serious collector. We have Amazing Spider-Man, #129. And yes, it's a CBCS. Boo! I don't really care. I mean, I know there's a bias towards CS, but I don't really understand why. I'm not one of those people that has a beef between CBCS and CGC, so... This was the first slab I ever picked up, and I've always wanted the first appearance of the Punisher. Once again, one of the badasses of the Bronze Age, the anti-heroes that we've all come to love. So yeah, really happy to have it. Once again, another example of a book that I would not want to shell out the cash for now. All right. Here we have a Silver Age book. Brave and Bold, number 54, the first appearance of the Teen Titans. Oh, man. In the 80s, I was all about the Teen Titans and the X-Men, like many of us. So, love the Teen Titans. Aside, one of my favorite superhero groups, Marv Wolfman and the late, great George Perez. That is pretty much my favorite run of all time, their run on the new Teen Titans. So, and I would not care at all about this book without the groundwork that those two gentlemen laid down. So rest in peace, George Perez forever. And moving on to the next anti-hero badass from the Bronze Age, Conan the Barbarian, number 1. This is my number 5 pick. And once again, this was probably either the third or fourth big book that I ever bought. And this was just one of those books that I have wanted for a very, very, very long time. So happy to have it. Probably VF to VF minus condition, and a book that was severely undervalued, and to some degree still is, compared to the fraternity of books that it came out with from this era. But it has really jumped in value as of lately. On one hand, I'm sad to hear that Marvel Comics will be losing the rights to Conan. But if it does go to another publisher or whomever is the company that owns the rights, if they actually put A-list talent on the Conan property, I'll be happy. I don't really care who publishes Conan comics, as long as they're good Conan comics. My golden age for Conan was probably Marvel's Bronze Age and the Kurt Busiek, Cary Nord era of Conan from Dark Horse Comics. So there we go, Conan the Barbarian. At number 4, as I've said before, I am a huge Star Wars geek. So I'm from that generation where the Christopher Reeves Superman movies and the Star Wars movies had a huge impact on me, pop culture-wise, and of course, towards my comic book buying tendencies moving forward. So I also own a slab copy of this, but this is the copy that my brother gave to me all the way back in the 1990s for around like 20-something bucks. I think he paid for it. And this is, probably a VF minus copy. Love it. Will never leave my collection. If anything, when I check out, it'll be going back to him. All right. At number 3. And I don't see my top 3 changing pretty much ever unless I buy something like really major. We have Giant Size X-Men, number 1. Legendary. Out of all the superhero groups out there, the X-Men are my favorite. Love this run from Giant Size X-Men all the way up to, say, Uncanny X-Men 175. Here we have the first appearance of Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Warpath, the second full appearance of Wolverine, the first appearance of the new X-Men. As I said, in my opinion, the greatest superhero group of all time. So love this. Like Conan, the Barbarian number 1, there used to be a copy of this in Conan number 1 in my very first comic book shop behind the glass case. So I always used to drool over this comic. So this was one of those that I picked it up within like the last 5 or 6 years, but even as an adult, I was just drooling over this before I actually put it back into the long box, just to look at it. Yeah, full gala mode. All right. Number 2. Speaking of full gala mode, I was definitely in that when I picked this book up. So here we have Fantastic Four, CGC 5.5, the first appearance of the Silver Surfer, and cameo appearance of Galactus. Big Marvel cosmic geek. Love the Fantastic Four. Love the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby run on Fantastic Four. And love this book, man. Picked this one up probably about 5 years ago. I don't usually get into numbers that much, but this was one of the most expensive books I ever bought, and I got it at a killer deal even back then. I want to say the seller had it for like $550. There was only a couple of days left that it was listed, so I shot him a really low offer that I thought he would never accept. It was $400, and he accepted it. I was like, oh shit, now I gotta buy this. And boy, am I glad that I did, because man, over the past 2 years, this book has really blown up too. So once again, another one of those books that I've wanted to own since childhood. Love it. Love the Silver Surfer. Just love owning this, man. Awesome. And number 1, My favorite hero, along with Batman, is Wolverine. So here's Wolverine, number 181. My favorite comic in my collection. I don't see that changing anytime unless I end up getting a higher grade copy or maybe an Amazing Fantasy 15 or something crazy, which will not happen. This was the first big book that I ever purchased, probably about 6-7 years ago. And I ended up getting lucky. I ended up picking this up off of Amazon, believe it or not. And I didn't even check to see if the Marvel Value stamp was listed on it. Thankfully, it was. So, fine to fine minus copy, probably a 6.0, 5.5 copy, but I don't care. This was the one jewel of a book that I've always wanted. I mean, we all want an Action Comics #1 and Detective Comics number 27, but this was realistically attainable back then. And even right now it would be, but you would have to pay a hefty price for it. Something that I would not feel comfortable doing. So that's all I have for this week. I will be back next month with a big old comic book haul, probably like 30-something issues. So until next time, enjoy your Memorial Day and take care out there. See ya!